We've got a really, really exciting program here live at the Ruth Williams Bayview Opera House, SF Sounds with the Saint John Coltrane Church. Introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, my name is Reverend Juanica Stevens. I'm the pastor at the Saint John Coltrane Church here in San Francisco. And I've been a member of this neighborhood also. I started a portion of my life out here in the Bayview and different parts of the area here in San Francisco as well.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you for that. Archbishop?
Thank you so much for having us here. We appreciate it. I am the apostle of Coltrane consciousness, the patriarch of the African Orthodox Church, fondly known as the Marcus Garvey Church. I'm also the proud father of our bishop-elect here, Franzo Juanica Hop King. And I'm just glad to be here, especially in this particular space. I had a long conversation with the Honorable Sun Ra, who sanctified these grounds a few years ago. So it's just beautiful to see that the arts and the culture and the spirituality of this community is being properly represented. And I'm glad to see that those that are represented seem to be from a generation that if they live, we can accomplish some great things. Because I'm with Art Blakely. My mind is with the youth. Because it keeps the mind active and it keeps the thing happening.
I love it. I love it. You both have deep ties to this city, even deeper ties to this neighborhood. And when I walked in here and was listening to rehearsal, I got chills because this concept of SF Sounds, where we're bringing in emerging leaders, we're bridging gaps, generational gaps. Why is that important for this space in particular?
Well, I grew up in this neighborhood for a long time, and some of my first musical experiences happened in this neighborhood, almost around the corner, on Galvez Street.
Yep.
And I can remember studying music in school. I can remember Archbishop King, my dad, bringing John Coltrane into my kindergarten classroom here in this area. And then also years later, teaching some of the children in this neighborhood with one of our music and arts program. It was really great. We taught music, jazz, and visual arts. We had some excellent teachers. One was even the iconographer for the Saint John Coltrane Church. So we had a really great program here that ran for about a year here in the Bayview-Hunters Point. So when you talk about generations and that the arts moving from one group to the next, it's about growth. And so that's why it's important, that we have, generations learning from each other and getting the music, because this music and the arts is what this neighborhood is all about in so many ways. That's how I experience it.
I walked in here and I said I got the chills. Yeah. And maybe the chills was I was mistaken for feeling the spirit that was alive and well in this space. Talk to me a little bit about how you combine music, faith, and all the things that you do as a church.
Well, I think that's part of our history as a people. I think we brought our faith with us. A lot of people think that we didn't have faith and we didn't have spirituality until somebody gave us a King James version of the Bible and began to tell us about a man called Jesus. But I think it's the music that has kept us all through our slavery days, and some of us are still slaves, happy slaves. But I think it's the music that creates the initial thought patterns that can change the thinking of the people. And I'm quoting John Coltrane now. And one of the other things, when you go back and you look at this music, let's go back to Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington said, love is a 4-letter word for God. So the music has always been rooted in our struggle and our relationship with our God. And that's been the tone that has created, the vibration that has opened the doors of consciousness for us to be and communicate with that ancient part of ourselves. See, I'm not of a mind to think that God just got here 2,500 years ago. God was here from the beginning. And you know what's beautiful is we say God is all. But you know, all is a nonsense term because it's everything we know and everything we don't know. And some of us want to boast about what we believe. But believe falls short of knowing. And what scripture, I hear the scripture saying, be still and know that I am God. Because you can believe it is today and believe it ain't tomorrow, and then day after tomorrow don't know nothing. So I think the music has saved us. We go all the way back to Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong. If it wasn't for this music, the fight for our liberation would not be where it is now. And I mentioned Sun Ra, and I'd have to mention Art Blakey, and some of those brothers that we might call are not just the pioneers of the music, but the engineers of the music that was locked into the spirit. So I think it's quite important that, but John Coltrane in particular.
I can't help but to think about, again, this intergenerational connection that I think you all capture so well in your music, and even in the ensemble of people that you bring together. I came in and I listened to that drummer, and I was blown away. And then I seen that he was a young brother, and it blew my mind even more. Tell me a little bit about how you connect the group of people that you do to perform. How do you pull together the great talents that you do? They're young, they're multi-generational, they're diverse. How do you capture all of that?
Well, what should we say? How should they come, lest they be sent? We
or
believe
birthed.
If they weren't sent, even then they come through birth. That's my grandson on the drums. And that's what he was born to do. And he's been doing it since he was as small as your children there. So I think, you know, when we start talking about the music, and we had outlawed the blues and jazz music. So when people come to the Saint John Coltrane Church, and we say, Will I am Coltrane, they have a different kind of experience, because we might have the magnificent Ann Mac come up and sing around midnight. Because in that midnight hour is the hour that has been most precious to many of us, when we had a chance to take a look at ourselves and communion with that God that we are so much in tune with. So it's about generation, from one generation to the next. And I think them young people are living our future, like we're living their past. Coltrane said, all made from one, all made in one. So when we get to the oneness of what we're doing, I think it's interesting. I got my friend and mentor, Fillmore Slim, is here today. And it's interesting, when I decided to play saxophone, he gifted me my first saxophone. And many people don't understand the connection, how we all interconnected. So I think our goal is to bring things together. We don't care if it's roots, rock, reggae. If it's about God, it's about liberation. If it's about revolution, then we're into it, you know. If it's Papa Ray, then that's what it is. And Ray Charles and John Coltrane born on September the 23rd. So was George Jackson. So it's something if you're in the numbers, and Coltrane has a song called "By the Numbers."
Something was going on. I was on September 20th.
That's
Not too far away.
That's awful close. Man.
I just look like this. So I want to. We talked a little bit about. We opened up talking about the neighborhood and talking about just how important music is for Black folks. I want to read a quick quote here from Dr. Martin Luther King. He gave a speech in 1964 at the Berlin Jazz Festival. And he talked, I'm going to read this quote off and would love your thoughts.
Please.
It's a great speech.
Modern jazz has continued in this tradition, singing the songs of a more complicated urban existence. When life itself offers no order and meaning, the musician creates an order and meaning from the sounds of the earth, which flow through his instrument. That stood out for me.
I think so.
Because of just where we are geographically and what's happening across the world. People are counting on San Francisco, and San Francisco is counting on neighborhoods like Bayview-Hunters Point.
Well, that's a powerful statement, brother. When you read Martin Luther King, it quickens the spirit in me because his initials is MLK, and that happens to be the initials of our founding Supreme Mother, Marina Lynn King. So there's a connection here. And I'm thinking about John Coltrane and Martin Luther King. John said that when you mention Martin, you got to mention Malcolm. Because these brothers both were tied into this music. And somebody might say, well, Martin Luther King was dealing with gospels and spirituals and things like that. But it's all one. It's all made from one. The other thing I would say about this neighborhood, this is the neighborhood that we were allowed to come in. When I talked to my father, he told me that when he first came to San Francisco, there was no hotels and places for Black folks that was traveling, and he slept in the tall grass out here before they did all this developing out here. So this is where our people, when we migrated from the South and from back east, and we came to San Francisco, we came to Bayview-Hunters Point. And so it's important that we look at our roots and the value of it. If you'd have came here in the 60s, you would have been at the Long Island Club, and Fillmore Slim might have been playing there. Bobby Blue Bland, and them cats was making the music here. And when we started the church, we started right here on Galvez Street. And what we were doing was playing this music. And we had Bishop Norman, New Testament Williams, Bebop Norman, we call him, and others that was playing this music for this community. So we're excited about being here in this place. We're excited about what you're doing here. I think I was telling David when I walked in here, the intimacy of it. This is old school. You go here, even with the rap music, you go and you hear some of these people, it's 30,000, 70,000 people 100 miles away from each other. You don't get that intimacy that you get in a space like this. This would be a huge jazz club. And so when I went to see John Coltrane, he was closer than that camera. He was right there. Elvin was right there knocking the drum cymbals over. And so you got a chance to really feel the heartbeat of what the musicians were bringing. And this used to be the place where the music was freer than anywhere else. You can say you go out on Broadway to the jazz workshop, but it was here and it was in the Fillmore at Bop City at 2 o'clock in the morning when in those days we had a black community. We don't really have an African American community right now. But what we do have is the spirit of the African American community and what we bring to the table. And if you look, you can see it in people that not of immediate African succession. I say immediate because we're the fathers and mothers of creation. Everything came out of Africa. You dig what I'm saying? Just being real with it. So we are all, what Marcus Garvey said, God of one blood made all men to dwell on the face of the earth. So it's important that we also hear John Coltrane saying that it wasn't just African people that made contribution to this music. And he said, and it'll be other folks of other races and nationalities that'll make contributions to this music. So I think that's really what we're getting at and trying to get to that point where we can be true to the Godfather who said, if you want to swing, you got to be on the one. And if we want to be winners as humanitarians or human beings, then we got to realize the oneness of our existence. And I think that's what we're trying to do.
I just want to say amen to what Archbishop King just said. And then when you're talking about pace setters too, when I think about John Coltrane, when I think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I think about people who set the pace for freedom. They were the template, and they didn't just speak it, but they demonstrated it with their lives, the way that they lived their lives. They showed us what truth is about. They showed us what divine love looks like from the average human being. You know, they were magnificent and bigger than life in so many ways, but really they were just somebody's child. You know what I mean? They were regular people just like you and I. But the difference is that they made a choice, and they felt their calling, and they were obedient to their calling, and willing to give themselves over to the mission. And that mission is always pushing freedom forward, pushing love forward. And I look at these little kids that are here, and we saw how expressive they are. The art, everything, movement, life, it's all in them. And so when I look at this space and the fact that they're here, just the vision of these children is hope. That lets us know that we have future pace setters, you know, in the making.
And to see that in this neighborhood, because you went to kindergarten right here.
I know.
And I used to go in there and put John Coltrane on.
Yes.
And then kids would be jumping off of the desks.
African drumming.
So we got a responsibility. Yeah. And brother, let me just say something about you too, and what how pleased we are as community that you're in the seat that you're in. Yeah. And the faith that we have in your history as being concerned about the community and having a love for the music and the culture of our people. The Bayview-Hunters Point area need to know that we are blessed, brother, to have you here creating this atmosphere. And I got to thank God for David, the brother, because again, when we start talking about the oneness, we are all indebted to the Native Americans, to the Mexicans, to the Chicanos, because we've all been brothers under that lash. And the music has a way of bringing us into that oneness. It's our culture, you know? And so I'm really excited about what's happening here in a time where things seem so hopeless. And we're doing more complaining than we're doing explaining. And and there's no real hope in explaining. It's about doing.
I definitely just appreciate those kind words and appreciate the company of both of you, all of the work that you've put into this neighborhood, all the work that you continue to put into this neighborhood.
We appreciate you.
Yes, gives me hope. I'm raising these 3 little ones, and for me, in this space, it's about creating the world that I want them to see. I literally get to curate this stage and this property in a neighborhood that is changing. And I just want to close with this question here. We talked a little bit about hope, but as we look forward to this concert, what will you all be performing? Tell us a little bit about the set.
Well, what will we be performing? We'll be focusing in on John Coltrane compositions. If you come to our service, the majority of the music, whether it's the Lord's Prayer, is done to Coltrane compositions. Even if we do some of the Christian creeds, it's done to John Coltrane's music. It's important, I think, that we understand that when John Coltrane said he had a spiritual awakening, and at that time, in gratitude, he humbly asked to be given the means to make others happy through music. And he felt that it had been granted, and he said, all praise to God. So people talk about being saved. Well, to be saved, I mean, is to be happy. I see so many people that of different faiths, Christian faith in particular, that say they're saved, but they're not happy. And I don't think, and our happiness doesn't really depend on what kind of job we got or don't have. But our happiness really depends on our relationship with the Creator and our obedience to that. John Coltrane said, I will do all I can to be worthy. Not I want to do, I'm going to do, or give me a minute. It's about I will do. And I think that's what we're saying. When we talk about the music of John Coltrane, we're talking about the anointed sound that leaped down from the throne of heaven, from behind the walls of creation in the veil of eternity, out of the very mind of God, and incarnated in one, Sri Rama Onedaruth, the Lord of wealth and prosperity, we call his name, John Will I Am Coltrane. And we've taken this music into the sick room. We've taken it to deathbeds. We've taken it to prisons. And we watched this music open up the doors. We've seen people get up off of deathbeds, out of sick beds, because this music is a healing force.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Look forward to tomorrow.
Yes.
Thanks.